At midnight, the city doesn't sleep. It listens, it watches, it counts, and it remembers just long enough to be useful or long enough to become dangerous. Somewhere, right now, a camera sees a handoff, a sensor hears a bang, a plate reader catches a blur of metal, an algorithm draws a box around a person like a digital lasso and whispers, "Track." And the city replies, "Always." Tonight I'm taking you inside the real machine, the always-on sensor network. How it works, why it's spread, why it sometimes fails spectacularly, and why it's turning the modern city into a battlefield over one word: privacy. We sell sensor networks like a bedtime story for anxious adults. Don't worry, the city is safer now. The city is smarter now. The city is optimized. And sometimes, it's true. A camera can find a missing child. A traffic sensor can prevent a deadly pileup. Air quality monitors can prove a neighborhood is being quietly poisoned. A well-run operations center can dispatch help faster than panic can spread. But here's the comforting lie that keeps the lights on. If you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to fear. That sentence is how freedom gets repossessed in monthly installments. Because always-on networks don't just catch criminals, they create archives of ordinary life. And archives are power. A long time ago, a philosopher designed a building that could control people using a single weapon: uncertainty. Put prisoners in cells around a circle. Put a guard in the middle. Arrange it so prisoners can't tell when they're being watched. They behave as if they're watched, all the time. That's the panopticon problem. You don't need infinite police. You just need the possibility of observation. Now replace prison cells with streets. Replace the guard with servers. Replace the watchtower with analytics pipelines. Congratulations, we built the panopticon city. With better marketing. Here's the twist. Modern surveillance isn't only about seeing, it's about deciding what's normal. Normal traffic pattern, normal walking speed, normal crowd density, normal face in this neighborhood. Anything outside that becomes a ping, a flag, a score. The city doesn't just watch you, it builds a model of you. And if that model gets it wrong, good luck arguing with a spreadsheet that thinks it's Sherlock Holmes. Even in cities famous for surveillance, cameras aren't magic wands. London, for example, has expanded CCTV and explored more advanced AI-assisted systems. Spending has risen, and debate about oversight is very much alive. Because more cameras do not automatically equal more justice. Sometimes they equal more footage of tragedy and no accountability. Let's pull the curtain back. Always-on sensor networks are basically 3 layers. 1. Collection, the eyes and ears. Cameras, microphones, environmental sensors, traffic loops, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth probes, license plate readers, even smart streetlights. 2. Transport, the veins. Fiber, cellular, microwave links, mesh networks. Whatever moves data from the street into the system. 3. Decision, the brain. Storage, analytics, dashboards, and humans with authority. And that last part matters, because the algorithm can shout, "Alert," but a human decides whether that alert becomes a knock on your door. A camera feed isn't information, it's raw reality. Messy, noisy, full of people scratching their heads in ways that look suspicious to a machine. So the pipeline looks like this. Ingest, take video streams in real time. Pre-process, stabilize, compress, clean. Detect, find objects, person, car, bag. Track, follow them across frames. Recognize, sometimes, face, plate, logos. Classify events, fighting, trespassing, abandoned object. Alert and log, notify operators, store evidence. That's why smart city surveillance isn't one product. It's an industrial assembly line, turning light and sound into decisions. And modern systems increasingly push analytics to the edge, near the camera, to reduce bandwidth and latency. One revealing example: smart streetlights. Poles that don't just light roads, but host sensors and cameras. San Diego became a famous cautionary tale. The city installed more than 3,000 streetlight cameras. After public controversy, they were turned off until a government's framework could be created.
That moment tells the whole story. Engineers said, it's just infrastructure. Police said, it helps solve crimes. Community said, who approved this? The city said, we'll get back to you. And here's where it gets complicated. The city's sensor network isn't just government sensors. It's also the private layer. Doorbell cameras, building cameras, vehicle cameras, commercial plate readers. A city can become heavily surveilled without the city owning most of it. When private surveillance connects into searchable databases, civil liberties groups warn it can enable large-scale tracking. This is when always-on turns into always-findable. Sensor networks start with noble goals: reduce congestion, stop violence, keep public spaces safe. Then comes the slow creep: a new administration, a new crisis, a new temporary policy. This is called function creep. Data collected for one purpose gets reused for another. Data protection law exists precisely because we might need it later is how surveillance becomes permanent. In the US, a major court case made this clear. In Carpenter versus United States, 2018, the Supreme Court ruled police generally need a warrant to access historical cell site location data, because long-term tracking reveals an intimate map of a person's life. And that raises the question: if phone trails deserve protection, what about camera trails, plate trails, sensor trails that reconstruct your day like a receipt? In Europe, regulators have drawn lines too. Under the EU AI Act, real-time remote biometric identification in public spaces is treated as highly restricted, requiring strict authorization and safeguards. Translation: you don't run face search on a crowd just because you feel like it. That's not just technical policy. That's a civilization decision. Remember the smart city dream in Toronto, the Sidewalk Labs project? Technically ambitious, ultimately abandoned in 2020 after years of data governance and privacy controversy. A reminder: you can build the best sensors in the world and still lose the city if the people don't trust you. If you remember one thing, remember this: technology is the easy part. Governance is the hard part. Serious organizations don't rely on vibes. They use frameworks. NIST's privacy framework helps manage privacy risk while enabling innovation. ISO IEC 27001 sets standards for information security management. Because we have cameras also means we have targets. Any always-on city system needs 5 basics. Purpose limitation: say why you collect data and stick to it. Data minimization: don't collect what you can't justify. Short retention by default: keep logs only as necessary. Access control and logging: who viewed what, when, and why. Independent oversight: if the system can't survive sunlight, it doesn't deserve electricity. And let's stop pretending AI is a wise old judge. Half the time, it's more like a raccoon in a trench coat holding a calculator and yelling, "I have concluded this trash can is suspicious." Algorithms are tools. Power is what we must govern. Always-on sensor networks are not science fiction. They're operational reality. The only question is, who controls the system that controls the city? Because a city that can see everything can also misuse everything. So here's the challenge. When you walk through your city tomorrow, do you want to live in a place that watches you as a citizen or measures you as a suspect? If you want the next video, I'll break down a real command center architecture: edge analytics versus cloud, storage retention logic, alert tiers, and privacy controls that stop a safety system from becoming a political weapon. Like, subscribe, and comment. What's your red line? What technology is acceptable safety, and what crosses into too much? Because the city will keep listening. The only question is, are you allowed to talk back?